Hey guys, WaifuGate here again. So today, we're going to be doing underrated card of the week. I'm not really sure if this is super like underrated. For me, what kind of dictates whether or not I think something is underrated or not, if I personally am shocked about how good the card is after I play it for a while. And this really fit into that category. The main decks that I've seen this used in, or at least that I used them in, was U White Control and Historic, and I think Esper. I've seen a few Esper lists run this and just absolutely destroy me because they play above curve. So this is a 2 mana um, ramp spell that has no stipulations whatsoever. The only weakness that it has, I think, for the most part, of the main weakness, I should say, is Teferi 3, because you can -3 and bounce it. The opponent gets to draw a card, etc. But even then, it's like they have to punish you on the spot. Otherwise, you can, in response, sacrifice Mind Stone. You draw a card, whiff on their effect. And yeah, they take away your ramp, but you took away one of their card draws, and you still got your own value back. So even though it's weak against one of the most commonly played cards in Historic, Teferi Time Raveler, it's still not that bad because it can counteract that, eventually. Like, it's not terrible. It's not that bad. And there's not a lot of main deck hate in Historic from what I've seen in regards to, like, artifacts and enchantments. Like, it's scarce, it's there, but it's not super, super common. Like, what I'm trying to say is I don't get punished by playing this because it's an artifact for the most part. So yeah, I just really, really love it because it's unconditional ramp. Like, no matter what, you can ramp. You don't need an extra land like you do with Growth Spiral. You don't need it like you do with Uro. Plus, this is 1 mana cheaper than Uro. And it's less susceptible to the Teferi bounce than, let's say, Wolfwillow Haven, where that requires you to tap, I think, 5 mana in order to make a 2/2 in response to a Teferi bounce, and then you lose your ramp. This is just, if you have 1 extra mana, you can pay for the Teferi bounce, which is really awesome. In late game, this can draw you a card for 1 mana, which is so cheap, because this reminds me a lot of when I used to run like Fountain of Renewal, Dawn of Hope control back when I didn't have a beard, like way back like a year or two ago. Um, and back in those days, we ran a lot of Fountain of Renewals, and being able to tap for 3 mana to draw a card at the end of the turn, or during my current turn to try to draw into like Shatter the Sky, into like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, to be able to tuck something, or like a counter spell or something. It just gives you a chance to get an out for 1 mana, which is just phenomenal. It's just great. You technically go down 2 mana when you go to draw a card off of this, because you can't tap this for colorless to sack it. You see here, it takes 1 colorless plus a tap in order to get that going. This also pairs well with cards like Luris, like where you're able to ramp and then be able to play things from your graveyard. It's sort of like Soul Guide Lantern in that sense, but it can also double up on ramping for you. So I could see this being used in like a tweaked, like I think Covert Go Blue has a list where he runs like Luris and Grixis and Unmoored Ego and stuff in best of 1 in the sideboard, stuff like that. And this can be another one of those pieces for that type of a deck, because the ramp is just phenomenal, and you're able to do the same thing in regards to drawing cards. It's the same mana cost, it's just that this ramps you. That's kind of nice. So I think it's really good in a lot of different shells, and it gives ramp to color schemes that usually don't have it, like U White Control, Esper, Grixis, etc. Like, it's not just, and it makes ramp decks even better too, because you don't need Growth Spiral, or you can have basically 8 copies of Growth Spiral, because you can go 4 Growth Spiral, 4 Mind Stones, and just ramp to the ends of the world. So I might actually try to make another ramp deck in Historic for that reason, with like Bant or something, like maybe Bant Yorion, even though it's a little counterintuitive to run 8 Growth Spirals in an 80 card list compared to running 4 in a 60, or 8 in a 60. 8 in a 60 would be insane if you could balance out, like, win cons and everything else. And the fact that this draws you a card and isn't just dead late game is pretty awesome, because you can pay 2 mana. You basically can pay 3 mana to draw a card, which is like the same as like a Triome, like late game. If you have like, 10 mana, it could get you an out like Teferi. So it's kind of nice. But yeah, that'll wrap up this week's underrated card of the week. Hope that this is helpful for some people. I do this every single week on Wednesdays. I upload the video at 2 p.m. so Central Time. So if you guys are into that, we have a lot of different series on the channel. I've been putting out a YouTube video each day for over a month now, and I'm loving it. Just loving making content and flexing the brain in different ways and trying to help people out. I think it's important to do that. So yeah. If you want to, there'll be an end screen soon. You can hit the subscribe button. You can hit the subscribe button down below as well, like whatever you prefer. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section below, or stop by my stream. I stream, it's like Wednesdays through Sundays, 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. Central Time now. I'm trying out a new time slot. So cheers, and I will see you guys for the next video, hopefully.